Hey, what's going on, my friends? Welcome to the Jax Collective. My name is Jax, and this is my podcast, the most intriguing podcast in the world. And today I have an interesting guest on the show. He's a legend, and he resides in the town of Ocean Beach here in San Diego County, and he lives in the same neighborhood as me. He is a Jiujitsu purple belt. He is a salsa dancing instructor with Timba SD. He is an aspiring artist who is getting better all the time with his art. He is a comic book creator, not a comic book, but a comic, an online comic creator around one of his passions, which is motorcycle riding. Very interesting fellow who also speaks Chinese. And I may have missed some of his amazing attributes, but the dude he's a living legend here in the area. And one other thing, he is a Sons of Anarchy cosplayer. And if you know what that is, you know. If you don't, you don't. But that's who he is. He's one of the world's most interesting men, to say the least. And I have him on the show, and you're lucky enough to hear his story and hear about him, and hit him up if you have any questions, and hit me up if you have any questions as well. And before I welcome the living legend from Ocean Beach to the show, the Jiu-Jitsu purple belt, salsa dancing artist who speaks Chinese, just want to remind you to go ahead and rate and review this show on iTunes. If you're listening on iTunes, give us a rating and review. It helps us get seen by more people so they can be intrigued by the world's most intriguing podcast. If you go to Spotify, you can follow us and you can give us a 5-star rating or a 1-star rating. I'd appreciate the 5, but you'd give whatever you want to give. As we get good ratings, we're able to get this show out to more people. And I also have a YouTube channel. You can look up Jax Engage or the Jax Engage Collective, where I have the full episodes on there, but I also have on the Jax Engage channel, I have highlight clips from these episodes where you can watch shorts from, video shorts from these episodes. So check that out. Give us a follow on YouTube. Wherever you like to consume your content, go there and find us. You can find me on Instagram at The Increased Life. And yeah, on Spotify, we also have the video episode, so you can listen to it on Spotify, or if you want to look, pick it up and look at your phone, we'll also be on there on video. So keep following, share this with somebody. I appreciate the support. I'm completely grateful that you're listening to this show. If you're here listening, listen to the whole show. We talk about a lot of good things here, all the things I mentioned. Steve even speaks some Chinese. I'm sorry, I said the wrong name. Mcevoy is his name, and I had to correct myself. He's the artist and dancer and jiu-jitsu player formerly known as Steve, and this would be a good time to just welcome him onto the show. He is now becoming Mcevoy, and his name is Mcevoy from Ocean Beach, and you can find him on Instagram and many other places, but we'll talk about that during the show. This is a interesting conversation with an Ocean Beach legend, and his name is Mcevoy. Welcome to the show, my friend. Mcevoy on the show in the flesh. How's it going, man? How you doing?
It's going excellent. I was a little bit slow getting up this morning, but
were you?
All things considered, yeah.
Right on.
I've been staying up pretty late recently, working on my various art projects. So I've been starting my days a little bit later.
So what were you working on last night? What art were you sketching? I've seen your sketch, dude. Your sketches have gotten a lot better, bro. Like fucking by miles. They've gotten way better.
So I have this thing that I'm working on, which so this guy Kim Jung-gi is a very, 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 very famous comic artist, and he passed away about a month ago. This dude is an absolute genius. Absolute genius. Like, some people compare him to Da Vinci. I don't know, but he's amazing. He's one of the, just like so top tier in his craft, absolute master of his craft. So this guy inspired me to go get a little sketchbook, and I was planning to do pen and ink because that's what he does. He does pen and ink and paper. Obviously, pen and ink, right? So ink and paper, and he's able to just do these amazing ink drawings first try. He never makes a mistake. Just no mistakes. And so I got this thing with the intent to do the same. Like I'm gonna start doing ink and paper or like Kim Jong-gi, and it's gonna be beautiful. And I got through like 2 pages, and I was like, I'm making so many mistakes. I need to be working with pencil. I can't work in pen. So then I had this sketchbook. Like, what in the world am I gonna try to do with this? And so one day I was listening to a podcast. I was listening to Lex Friedman talk to Hikaru Nakamura, the chess player, and I just decided, you know what, I'm going to start sketching Hikaru Nakamura. And so I tried to sketch Hikaru Nakamura like his portrait. And so now I've repurposed this sketchbook just to be a book of portraits. So yesterday evening I was sketching a guy named Avner the Eccentric, who's a clown. And the reason that I was sketching Avner the Eccentric is because, we've talked about this before. I generally I think most podcasts are just fucking awful. I think it's just such crap. And So I made a Google search. I really wanted to listen to, so it was like a podcast full of eccentric, just super eccentric guests. So I Googled podcast eccentric people interview, and the Avner the Eccentric, who's a clown. His field is eccentric comedy, which is I guess a branch of comedy. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna sketch this Avner. And I listened to a really interesting podcast with this clown, and learned about clowning.
What, bro? That's pretty fucking interesting, Mcevoy. That's only something that, it never ceases to amaze me the shit that you come across, bro. You see the world, you're on your own fucking page here, man, listening to clown interviews and shit. I learned something new. I'm going to go look up Avner the fucking Eccentric after this.
Yeah, everybody look. Who he is. So he's kind of, I guess he's pretty famous. Some of his, because after I listened to this podcast, I started looking at his clowning work, and he works mostly silently, but some of his videos have 1 million views.
Really?
He's a big deal.
Was there anything you what was interesting about what he was saying? Was there anything that, I always wonder what's in the mind of a clown? You know what I mean? Because he chose this out of all the passions. That's his passion, man, to dress up as a clown and entertain people that way.
Right? Yeah. Absolutely. Totally interesting. I mean, to some degree, again, he's just given so much thought to the world of clowning. He went on this where do clowns come from? You have the red nose and the big shoes, and he was he was going into the history of why we represent clowns in this manner. It's the big shoes, and I don't know if this was correct, or this is what he was saying. The big shoes come from you were basically representing someone poor, someone who could not afford shoes that fit, and so you would have these poor people in the countrysides who would get shoes from the wealthy people in the cities, and so you would see the clown shoes come from a really low status person from the fields with these giant ill-fitting shoes. So that morphed into the clown over time. The red nose, according to Avner the Eccentric, comes from alcohol. Like, so it would be like a drunk person has like a really red nose. So the clown is sort of this drunk, low status person from the country.
Ah, that makes sense.
That does make sense.
Like a bozo. Bozo
like
the
a
clown,
bozo.
right? Like
Like a
Bozo's the
bozo,
clown.
right.
That's where he got that name, maybe. Interesting. Was there any, did they kind of dig into his like mind a little bit? Like his, you know what I mean? I always think that clowns are like these, like guys with, for some reason, I feel like clowns have like mental health issues. I don't.
Well, there's the sad clown, right? It's
right.
sort of like an archetype.
Yeah.
So there's a whole world of clowning that's like. So I did theater for a long time. My high school had a tremendous theater program, and I kept with it into college. And you can spend a long time studying a lot of different branches of performing arts. Like there's a lot out there. And this guy was just like, within the field of comedy, there is a sub-strand that's called clowning. And he was just a technical expert. He's just a clown expert. He's not just a clown. He's an expert clown. And he's a clown
Master.
educator. So he's talking about, all of the things that go into clowning.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Speaking
There's a lot
of that,
there's a lot of bad clowning going around, according to this guy.
yeah, clowning has fallen off as of recent.
So, I mean, one thing, he was like, most clowns that come to his workshops, the first thing he asked them was like, why are you wearing those big shoes? And people will answer that question. Well, clowns wear these big shoes. And he's like, nah, you need a better reason for that. So if you see his clowning acts, he's not big shoes, red nose, white face. He looks like a regular guy. He's just doing funny shit.
Fuck. Maybe I'll interview that guy. This sounds interesting. I'm gonna have to look into Abner.
He said one more thing that I thought was really interesting. So
What did he say?
Clowns find really complicated ways to do very simple things, and very simple ways to do very complicated things.
I wonder what an example of something like that would be.
So an example that he gives is like, he had this classically trained ballerina that he was training in clowning, and one day she had an issue where on stage she had to tie her shoe, and so she went down and tied her shoe like a regular way, and it kind of sucked the energy out of the scene. So the clowning way to tie your shoe is, this girl jumps into the air, does a split, lands on the ground in a split, and ties her shoe in like a ballerina in a split position.
Ah, I see. Making something very simple complicated. Yes, I could see that. That's interesting. Well, that was fuck. I had no clue that we would learn about clowns today, bro. But that's pretty interesting.
You weren't preparing? You weren't like up late night? Like, what if Steve brings up clowning?
Yeah, he might bring up clowning. Let me look into Abner the Eccentric.
I'm just trying to keep you on your toes, brother.
No, it's good. This is why I love Mcevoy. The OB legend. How's speaking? I mean, I still haven't gotten into your sketches. I was going to tell you that sketch you did of that. Well, I don't know if that was you put one up the other day. I don't know if it was like a dancer guy or like a fucking salsa dude or something.
Yeah, he's my this guy Yoandy is his name, Yoandy, and I can't. His last name's like Villarotia or something super long. But he goes by Yo-Yo Flow as well, and he's sort of been my like, if I could dance like anybody on the planet, I would dance like Yo-Yo Flow.
Oh, okay.
Of course, I'm not willing to put in the work to actually be able to dance like that dude, but he's sort of been my guiding star in that domain.
Oh, okay. I was going to tell you that was from the first sketch the first portrait sketch I saw you draw to that in a short amount of time, bro. You've gotten way freaking better. You know, you've gotten a lot better, man. So I know you've been putting in the time.
Yeah,
drawing, but yeah,
I gotta credit this place, the Watts Atelier, where I've been going twice a week to take classes there, and being around serious artists really is helpful.
Yeah, yeah.
I've just sort of been absorbing that sort of serious creative energy.
Yeah,
and it's very much enjoyable for me.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's with anything, right? Anything you want to get good at, get around people who are good at it or who care about it as much as you, and it's easier to get better. Like jiu-jitsu, same thing.
Yeah, well, it just happens. You don't even have to do anything. You just pick up on the vibe.
Yeah.
You know, you just pick up on the vibe, and I guess, you know, I'm hanging out with all these very serious creative artists. I guess I'm going to be a very serious creative artist as well.
Exactly.
Just not because I'm forcing myself to, just because, you know, these guys are doing it. May as well sit down and do it too. Like these guys, Friday night, 7 to 10 p.m. Like the rest of the world is out doing, you know, what the rest of the world does on a Friday night from 7 to 10 p.m.
Yeah.
These guys are like working on drawing figures for 3 hours. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm down for that too, man. You know, putting that time into your craft instead of going out and partying and shit. Speaking of the figures, you know, I know you like to keep it serious with that, but the dudes who model too, they got to take the time out of their day. I guess that's a thing too, right? Because if you're listening, you know, Steve started these art classes, and then I go into his house, and like, there's all these sketches on the wall of figures, you know, and it's like they're naked folks, like fucking naked dudes and shit, you know, all over his walls.
Let's not say I have naked dudes all over my walls.
Well, you do. All right, look over there.
There's naked ladies as well.
There's naked
just
ladies.
To be clear.
All right, well, let's do this. I saw you look over
My
there.
sketches do not discriminate.
Yeah, there's naked both, but you do have how many naked? There's some naked fucking dude sketches on your wall, bro. But
yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
I have naked dude sketches on my wall. It's true.
Yeah, and so what's the? That's a thing too, right? That's like is that a? Who does like? How do you? Who is the person who decides like? I'm gonna go and just stand in front of a class full of people. You know, is that like a challenge? I guess that's a self-challenging type of thing as well, right? Like a.
So this is a brilliant question that I've thought about before. Like, who are these people? And I actually thought it would make a very interesting. I actually thought there's a potential interview podcast there, interviewing. So there's these people are professional art models. So they will not just do my class. It's not necessarily just like a once a week thing. They might be spending multiple days per week, multiple hours at a time on stage in poses for different drawing groups, whether they be sort of hobbyist groups or whether they be educational institutions like the Watts Atelier, or I guess animation studios as well will bring in art models to give their animators practice for a given character that they're creating.
And they're just for the audience. When he says art models, he means they're completely naked, standing in front of the class, posing for the drawing. But usually,
they don't have to be completely naked. So sometimes it's just a hand modeling class, and you walk in and you see people, and they're literally just sitting there, and their hands are in some funny hand position, or not even a funny hand position, just a hand position. And it's just like, and they're getting paid whatever, $50 an hour, or whatever they get paid. I have no idea. And you know, just to put their hand, like, so people can stare at their hands for a couple hours. Or there's draped modeling too, where people are wearing clothing or a sheet. You know, it can be. It doesn't have to be nudes. But anyway, I thought an interview with an art model would be a very interesting thing, because the truth is I have no idea what compels people to become an art model. I mean, it doesn't sound interesting to me at all to have a group of artists look at me naked for 3 hours. It's like, I mean, maybe if a group came up to me and was like, Steve, we really need someone. Can you like pinch hit? Can you jump in there and be our model? Like, I'd be like, okay, but I'm not foaming at the mouth to do it. I'm my friend, mentor, coworker, Dennis, actually, when he was a young man, he deliberately went and did art modeling as a way of overcoming his, I guess, body dysphoria. Is that the term, where you look at yourself and you are uncomfortable in your own body? So
something like that. Dysmorphia.
So he deliberately went out of his way to model, just as a kind of way to inoculate himself to the discomfort that he felt in his own skin.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, man.
Because there's for a lot of people, there's a lot of fear, I think, from the emotion that comes up is fear, like being naked in front of a group, I imagine.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would say that's pretty high on the fear scale for most people, standing in front of a group just butt naked for 3 hours, man. You know, strangely, because naturally we should just be naked. Everybody should be, but we have this fear in us that's, not real.
It doesn't sound like especially scary to me.
No, you might not have that fear. You don't have the fear then. It
sounds uncomfortable. It sounds uncomfortable for everybody involved.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's weird. It's speaking of that, I was looking at hot yoga on YouTube, and they have on YouTube they have like these yoga places that do naked yoga, and it's on YouTube, so you guys can look it up if you want. And, the lady's talking about it, and they go there just because they're trying to be as natural as possible. And it's like, it's not like some, weird, it's like an actual, like, clean yoga studio, but everybody just butt naked, and they're panning through the people, and like, one of the guys stretching, he has like a half fucking erection and shit, and the lady's like, but these are like normal, like, older dudes and shit, and she's like, yes, and if anybody, the teacher's like, we encourage people, if anyone gets an erection, nobody look, it's a natural part of life, and we just continue stretching. Like, this is strange. I mean, some people are into that. I don't know. I mean, would you do that? Would you do naked yoga? You wouldn't do yoga in the first place.
I wouldn't do yoga to begin with, because I find it boring as hell. But would I do naked yoga? Also, no, because you'd end up next to the guy that's grunting.
Yeah, the guy with the heart on next to you.
If I could be guaranteed to not be next to or behind or in front of a grunting man, I would do it. Like, no grunting men yoga is the yoga for me.
Grunting men. Oh man. That's a.
We've had extended conversations about hard breathers.
Hard breathers, yeah. Actually, this can be a public service announcement. We can go on that topic real quick. So
I'm into this. Yeah.
Yeah. So me and Steve go to the same. Excuse me. The name has been changed. Formerly known as Steve, currently known as Mcevoy. We go to the same gym, and there's a sauna there, and I brought this to McAvoy's attention, and then he couldn't get it out of his attention after I told him. So if you go in the sauna, there's there's probably somebody in there who wants to relax and enjoy the silence, and 95% of the time there's another guy in the sauna who has to let everybody know that he's struggling with the heat and decides to breathe like he's dying, while you're trying to just relax and meditate. So you got the guy who's like, oh, oh yeah, and this is I'm 90% of the time when I sit in that motherfucker, there's a guy that comes in and has to breathe like that, So if you go in a sauna, maybe make an effort. If you're listening to this and you're a dude and you're like, yeah, I want to go in the sauna, control your breathing, whatever it is you're doing, so that you won't bother the fuck out of the guy next to you.
You and I need to start a public advocacy organization called Men Against Breathing and Grunting.
Yeah. I agree. I agree, man. Fucking nonprofit organization.
MABG, Men Against Breathing and Grunting.
Yeah, man.
You can find our Kickstarter, our GoFundMe for Men Against Breathing and Grunting.
Bro.
It's mabg.org.
Seriously, man. There's there's that, and then there's wearing wearing AirPods into the sauna where you're playing it so loud that I got to listen to your music while I'm relaxing. So those are two things you just don't do. Same thing on the elliptical. I was telling Steve about the elliptical the other day. I was working out. I was on there for like 30 minutes, and some kid comes on next to me, and he starts going. And about 4 minutes in, he's breathing over the music in my ears. He's breathing so loud, and it's like he's putting on a show. Like I want the people around me to know how hard I'm working, so I'm going to breathe hard so everyone can hear me. So I'm just making any listeners aware. Stop. Don't do it. Don't breathe hard, especially in the sauna. Especially in the sauna. Fuck. So that's our public service announcement.
I wonder if it's sort of people who don't come from team athletic backgrounds, because I think like if you were working out with like, you played soccer back in the day, I played football, and like if you were making some annoying noise in the weight room, everybody on the team would say, bro, chill out with that shit.
Oh yeah.
But maybe you never had that experience of a brother being like, you're annoying.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good observation. And then that brings you to the next thought of, would it be beneficial to like, in a nice way, tell the motherfucker next to you, like, hey, excuse me, are you okay, man? Like, like you're breathing pretty loud. That's rude, right?
I don't think it's rude. No,
it's honest.
Yeah. Like, the downside is like they might be completely unhinged.
Yeah, exactly.
They might be like, that motherfucker told me to stop breathing, and so I better just shut up and worry
just
about your
take
own
it.
shit. Like,
yeah.
We've talked about, like, use it as an exercise in self-control to not put that hard breather in the rear naked choke.
Exactly. It's kind of a good time to work on your meditation. If you can center yourself through the annoyance of that shit, it's a good exercise. So
this conversation just made me think. So I had a moment on my motorcycle a couple weeks ago where I rode up to Julian, as I often do, and it's a 2-lane road once you're out there off the freeway. And sometimes you'll get into a situation where somebody's like driving real slow and they're holding up like 15 cars in traffic. It happens all the time. And it's sort of part of the game for the motorcycle. You're able to, at some points, you could speed past everyone. It's pretty awesome. So somebody was, and there are plenty of places to pull over and let people pass, but for whatever reason, some people don't know, like, if you're holding up traffic, pull over. And sometimes it's people from other countries where they just don't have this sort of protocol or infrastructure, but often it's just like clueless people.
Yeah.
But you can sometimes like motion to people to pull over, and they'll like, you know, when you're riding past on your bike or whatever, you can ride up past, you can say next to them, you can say pull over, and some people will get the picture. Like, there's 15 cars behind you. What if you pulled over and let them by? When I did it the other day, and this lady just gives me the fucking finger. Like, she's holding up traffic for like 15 people. Like, please, you know, you get a motorcyclist.
You passed her?
Waving to you. Well, yeah, because I rode up because I was able to pass, but she still had 14 cars behind her, you know?
And so you gave her the sign to, like, pull over? Like,
yeah.
Get over?
And, yeah, she did not like it. She went with the, she flipped me the bird.
She flipped you off?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, and she never pulled over. She just kept the people behind her. No self-awareness.
Legend has it that she's still holding up traffic to this day.
Wow. Yeah, I don't get it. You know, sometimes I don't get it. People have no self-awareness or just self-centered. I don't know. But something in their life took them to that place, and they're on the journey of fucking learning. So fuck them.
Yeah, I wish I could have sat down with that lady and you know, hashed it out, but
yeah, wouldn't you love the opportunity when those things happen to just sit down and calmly explain, like, here, like, draw it out, and shit, draw a little sketch. This is you.
Holding a... Here are the 14 people behind you that are trying to enjoy their vacation to California, and here's me just having a good old time trying to do a public service and get you to pull over.
And here's you flipping me off. Oh, man. Yeah, man. So, one thing, you said there was something you wanted to tell me about. We didn't get a chance to talk about. We can talk about that in a little bit. Or now. It's up to you. And then,
what are our options of things to talk about?
Well, the other thing I kind of wanted to go over. I wanted to share with people our adventures in fucking Ocean Beach culture with the drum circle. I kind of wanted to talk about that.
Let's talk about it.
Because not a lot of people. Yeah, we'll talk about that first. So I'll kind of lead this in. During the past, about 6 months, at some point, I was hanging out at Mcevoy's place, and I noticed that he had a drum, the kind of drum you hit with your hands. You know, it's made of wood, very nice drum, and I forget the name of this specific drum because it's more rare of a drum. What's it called?
It's called an ashiko.
An ashiko drum. Go ahead, look that up. And
you should really let me tell this from my perspective.
Okay, you tell it first, and then we'll get to the drum circle part after this part.
Well, yeah, just this part, because what happened is I inherited I was gifted a drum from a friend, this big African ashiko drum, and I was all excited to get started, and so I'd been spending a few days just dong, 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 and I was really bad, and consciously bad. And I invited Jackson over to come check it out. I don't know what we were doing, going for a walk or something. And Jackson came over and sees my drum. He's like, "Hey, buddy, you got a drum. That's awesome." And just immediately just starts boom. I was like, "What the hell, man?" So Jackson is an extremely talented musician. That's what I'm getting at. Anyway, go on.
Thank you. Yeah, that moment was funny because I was playing it and I didn't. It's just something that's kind of a natural thing, you know. So I'm playing it and it didn't. You know, whatever. And you were standing next to me. You stopped what you had been walking into your room and you stopped and you just turned your head around and you're standing there like everything stopped and you're sitting there staring at me while I'm playing, you know? I'm like, what?
Well, I was kind of pissed off because here I was like working. I'd been playing like an hour a day for a week or whatever, trying to like figure out how it works. And you just came in and just started banging it like you've been doing it every day for your entire life. So
Yeah, man, and it was fun. And so I ended up getting a djimbe drum from a guy in Ocean Beach, and fuck, his name eludes me right now. What's his name?
his name is Ignacio.
Yeah, Ignacio in Ocean Beach. He crafts and fixes and sells really nice djimbe drums, which is a West African drum. And so I picked one of those up, and we decided to start going to this. There's a drum circle every Wednesday evening in Ocean Beach, right by the beach on this grass area. So we went, and first of all, it's very, Ocean Beach is a very cool culture because, and we've talked about this, but I don't think there's a lot of communities where it's, because it gets really primal there when you're in the drum circle and everybody's playing, and there's tons of people surrounding you, and then you got a bunch of people that go into the middle of the circle, and they're just dancing with zero ego. They're just letting go right in the middle of this circle, and you're in rhythm with 30 other drummers, and a couple times you get to a point where you're almost having like a psychedelic experience while you're drumming, and you're just zoning way out. And it's a very interesting and cool culture that we have here in Ocean Beach. And if you're ever here, you should check it out Wednesday nights. Just because it's like I was telling Steve, in most communities that I've ever been in, and that I see in the United States, that's not, this used to be how people interacted all the time, and now it's pretty much gone. That type of interaction amongst the community is pretty much gone, where people can just let go of their ego and be together as a group, and everybody's vibing on the same, vibration. It's fun, man. It's a powerful thing, and you meet some characters, man. There's some characters out there, so,
ourselves included, by the way.
Yeah, I guess we're characters.
Pretty much anybody who's got a West African drum in their living room is, they got something going on.
It's an interesting fellow or lady.
I think it's worth mentioning that one of the things that really surprised me about the drum circle is how easy it was to get started. Before you actually gone there and played in it, it kind of feels like everybody's great. You kind of watch people and you're like, wow, these people are awesome. But you can kind of just join in. And even without any lessons at all, you can show up and start banging your drum, and everybody can don't. Even if you're just starting off doing quarter notes or whatever, it's fun. It's really fun.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's a good way to connect with a bunch of people, vibe out with a bunch of people.
And you feel like you're dope. Like you're playing music, and then you have a bunch of really like when I go to draw, you've got all these really serious musicians around you, and they make you sound good, even if you're just kind of playing the steady one, bang, 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 bang. They're like, and you're like, you're a part of it, even in this small but very meaningful way.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And then there's cocaine. Then there's Cocaine John.
The Legend of Cocaine John.
Legend of Cocaine John. Yeah, haven't seen him for a while.
No, we haven't seen Cocaine John.
Haven't seen him selling his sage. I don't think he'll listen to this, but if he did, John, that's your nickname. Cocaine John is a guy who comes later on during the circle with his big drum, and he's actually really good, but he shows up and he just takes over that whole drum circle by playing really loud and really fast, and you kind of have to submit to his drumming prowess, I guess.
He brings a level of intensity that can be jarring, let's say. Like, say you're having a party and like 80 of your friends are hanging out just like drinking beers or whatever, watching the game, and then like the ninth friend shows up on cocaine and tries to get everyone to go to the club. That's Cocaine John.
Yeah. He's an interesting fellow, man. He's probably like a 50-year-old dude with like long gray hair and a big mustache. And he sells sage out there. And, whenever he sees you with the djimbe, he'll yell out djimbe.
Djimbe!
Yeah. If you walk by with the djimbe, he'll yell out djimbe and tell you that he's the leader of the drum circle. And if you say his name, well, I found that like 95% of the time when me and Steve are walking through Ocean Beach, if I mention Cocaine John, he'll fucking appear. He'll appear somewhere.
Holy shit, dude. I'm looking out my window right now.
There he is.
Cocaine John!
Djimbe!
Djimbe!
He starts playing his djimbe and shit. But yeah, he's an interesting fellow out there. And I gotta mention the other most interesting fellow that we've run into out there, and his name is Tricep Jones.
I hope the world really loves our inside jokes. Yeah.
Well, you gotta. I can paint the picture for we talked about the old white hippie guy first, so that's Cocaine John, and then Tricep Jones. So we're playing. We get there early one day, and we're playing the drums, and there's a new guy in the circle, and this is I gave him the name Tricep Jones, and he's probably about like 6'3", maybe. You think about 6'3",
230, 240, I would guess.
Yeah, he's about 6'3", 230, 240, built dude, big fucking huge arms, big old legs,
Wearing a sleeveless shirt.
Yeah, wearing a sleeveless shirt. And he's dancing in the middle. He's dancing like this weird dance. So Steve can kind of emulate it, but he's doing this weird. I don't know. How would you describe the dancing that he was doing, bro?
Aggressive. It's a very aggressive kind of dance.
Yeah. So yeah, it's an aggressive movements, and we're there early, so he's the only one dancing in the middle of this thing. So here you got this, 6'3", 230-pound, really strong black dude, bald head, fucking. He's a big motherfucker, right? Seemed like a nice guy, but he's dancing very aggressively, his movements, and he's like doing almost like a robot type of movement, and like he's the only one in the middle. And at one point, we're drumming, and he just does it like a robot, like a swift turn right towards Steve. and he has a scowl. He has a fucking scowl on his face, right? So he turned towards Steve with a mad face, and he's looking at him like he wants to kill him, and he's looking right into Steve's eyes. He's making eye contact, and he's doing this aggressive dance, like with his chin kind of down, looking right at Steve. This goes on for about, a few minutes. Like he was dancing, looking at you for 2 or 3 minutes?
Hey, it couldn't have been that long, but it felt like a year and a half,
Yeah. So I look over at Steve, and Steve's drumming, and he's kind of looking back at him, like he had his face looked like kind of. Yeah, and the dude is just. He's not stopping. He's looking right at Steve like he wants to kill him and dancing very aggressively. And
dude, you got to get Tricep Jones on the podcast and figure out what that was all about.
That might be an interesting talk. I would try to get I would talk to Tricep Jones. Maybe we can find him.
Another reasonable podcast idea is just interviewing all of these weird motherfuckers we have in Ocean Beach. Like, there's only one Tricep Jones, bro. There's only one of that guy.
No, that's. I have no qualms about doing that. I've thought about interviewing people who I find fucking interesting.
He looks like an NFL player and he's dancing in the Ocean Beach drum circle by himself. Like,
Yeah.
what is that guy?
Yeah, with a mad face.
Who is that man?
Exactly.
Who is he? Why is he doing it?
Yeah.
The world needs to know.
Yeah, we need to know. Tricep Jones, Cocaine John would be a good fucking interview. You know,
Cocaine John would be a good one too.
Yeah, I might.
And we would unravel the mysteries of these guys. Like we've invented these entire stories because obviously his name isn't really Tricep Jones. He's just has massive triceps.
Yeah, Tricep Jones. Yeah, from Cap
and
City.
Cocaine John.
Yeah,
he doesn't strike me as actually a cocaine guy. But somehow he brings that vibe.
Brings that vibe. Yeah, so I give him that. I'll just give him those names, and if I had him on, that's what I would refer to him as. You know.
Well, you'd find out their real names, which would be like Cocaine John might just be like John, McGillicuddy or whatever.
Oh yeah. But I would want to keep it Cocaine John. Like if I put it, that episode would be Cocaine John. You know.
And Tricep Jones's real name might be Ebenezer.
Yeah. Ebenezer Jones.
Ebenezer Jones.
that motherfucker. If I had them on the show, I'd probably have you. I'd probably do a 3-way. You know, we could both talk to him since you've been part of that as well.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't. I don't know if I would have the courage to be like, hey, Tricep Jones, like, why were you staring right at me? I might not want to be there for that one, just in case for some reason he has like a legitimate grudge against me. Like one day I swore at him or something. I don't even know what it could have been.
I felt like it was like either like a mating dance or a war dance. Like he either wanted to kill you or have sex with you. One or the other.
Either option I'm not really cool with. Maybe we could just be friends, bro.
Oh man, yeah. Fuck, I'll have Tricep Jones on.
All right,
but I'm telling you, that maybe have to be one where I have a third person, where I have, you know what I mean. But we'll talk about it. We'll figure it out.
Because you don't really know until you sit down with these guys, like what it's going to be like to talk with them. I mean, we've had conversations with Cocaine John before, but it's like we've never passed the point of talking about djimbe. Like there's a point in a man's relationship with another man where they have to talk about something other than their shared interest. And I think that's like, at some point you and I had to start talking about something other than Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's not always the easiest thing. So like Cocaine John, like what do you do when you're not banging a djembe and selling sage?
Selling sage. Yeah. Well, he's probably growing sage. The amount of sage he has out there is ridiculous. Have you seen the piles of sage that he has?
Yeah, I guess you could.
He's a
talk
sage
to him
farmer.
about growing sage.
Yeah, that's interesting.
The world needs to know.
Yeah, and every time he comes around the circle, this is what else I want to know. He comes around the circle and he greets everybody. And you never notice this, but he greets everybody. He skips me. He doesn't make eye contact with me, and then he goes to you and greets you and continues through the circle. And that's happened every single time. And I don't know why. I don't know why he skips me.
I'm baffled too. I don't know why it could be.
Yeah, I don't know. So, but whatever, we'll figure that out. The cool thing about this Riverside is me and you can have an episode, and then we can have him jump in for whatever amount of time. I don't know how long we can have a conversation with Cocaine John. He could come in for a certain amount of time, and then he can go, and we can finish. We could do that as well. So that would be cool.
So we could debrief him.
We could just have
it'd
him
be cool
in.
if we knew his phone number, we'd just give him a call right now.
We could, yeah.
So I'll ask Cocaine John for his phone number. You ask Tricep Jones for his phone number. A deal?
All right. Fuck it. Yeah, we'll do it. So, yeah, man. How about jiu-jitsu, man? How's that been going?
Oh, you know what I'm wearing under my hoodie right now?
A rash guard.
I'm wearing my embarrassing rash guard. So it's every guy who trains jiu-jitsu has one rash guard that they bought that they never wear because it's too ridiculous.
Once they
this
got
one
it,
has
they're
like rainbow sleeves.
Yeah. You should wear that, bro. You should have wear that for the episode. It's awesome. That's a Mcevoy fucking shirt.
Just wear this in a bandana. I'd look so cool.
Oh, fuck, man. Training's going good?
Yeah, training's going good.
Been working on X guard?
Been working on X guard.
X or single leg X? X? Regular X?
Just everything, you know?
Yeah.
Being a purple belt is like really nice, man.
Yeah.
It's really a nice experience. I'm finding it very, 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 very playful. Because you don't always have to worry about everything. Because you're better than most of the people, so you can get away with making a lot of mistakes. You know, when you suck, mistakes cost you a lot. But when you can recover from your mistakes, the game becomes a lot more interesting. So you get to do weird stuff.
Yes.
When I was a white blue belt, I would always come with these like deliberate plans of things to work on, and like, well, if I do this, then I can do that, and then this, and then that. But it's the experience of being more experienced, let's say, is that I have a general idea of things that are interesting, and then I just get to mess around and have a good time. And I'm really messing around and having a good time.
Good. That's good, man. That's probably where a lot of the good learning takes place, man, when you're just having fun. You know? Because
I just absolutely love it. I want to train every day. I want to train more if I could.
Yeah.
But I've been training 6 days a week the last couple weeks.
Fuck. I don't really want to roll with you, man. Fuck, you're probably getting really good, bro.
I mean, I don't know about that. And also, yes, you do. You want to roll with me because rolling with me is fun. I'm not a bully. And also, you're fucking this dude. So.
Yeah, man. All right, we'll figure that out soon. At least flow, bro. At least flow. Get a good flow going.
Yeah, no, that's what it's about. That's what it's about.
Yeah. So, I miss those freaking 45-minute, hour-long flow sessions that we would have. That was some of my favorite time that's been some of my favorite time in jiu-jitsu, man. Just flowing. It's a good workout. Freaking figure out some puzzles.
We got to get you to open up a gym. I think gym ownership is in your future.
Maybe. You never know, man. You never know what lies ahead. So, here's something else I wanted to bring up for the listener about Mcevoy that I think is very interesting about you, man, is that you lived in China, man. That's fucking very interesting. When I found that out, I was just kind of fucking taken aback, bro. Because that's not when people go live abroad, which is already a rare thing, you know, when someone decides to go live in another country. For us here in at least in California, it's not the most normal place to go is China because it's such a different culture. You're way off, but you're fucking totally out. You're in an alien nation, man, when you go to fucking China. So tell us a little bit about that, man. How did you end up in China and where did you go? I want to hear about your experience there a little bit.
Sure. So I studied in college. I sort of needed a class to take, and I ended up taking a Chinese history class, and I thought it was the most fascinating thing of all time. It's just like super fascinating. I was in college in sort of in 2007, 2008. This was 2007, I guess. At the time, the China was about to host the Olympics, and it was this sort of there was this kind of zeitgeist of China's time, kind of zeitgeist, and American media was like all China, 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 and so there was a kind of a wave of college students at the time that all started taking Chinese. Like if you look at a graph of students taking Chinese class, it was just like 2007, 2008, 2009 is just like this big bump. And so I was part of that big wave. So I took a super interesting Chinese history class, and I was like, well, I may as well, like, you know, try to learn the language. And the Chinese department at my college, Oberlin, just ended up being absolutely fantastic. Just like absolutely fantastic. The teachers, just every single one of them was just a gem. It was an absolute gem. And so they ended up convincing me, hey, you should do a semester of study abroad. I was like, sure, why not? I'll just study abroad. That'd be cool. So I went to Beijing and lived doing study abroad for a semester, which was pretty much like any study abroad experience, just kind of being an idiot 20-year-old in a different country. But then after I graduated, I was like, well, what am I going to do now? I can like join the workforce, try to get a job, or I can go, really learn Chinese. So I found started looking at interesting places to teach English in China. And my plan was I would go teach English and at the same time sort of immerse myself in the Chinese language and continue my studies there. So I found this place called Zhoushan, and Zhoushan is an island that's about an hour south of Shanghai. And I taught English there for a year. And Zhoushan is not a super, I mean, it's, in some ways it's very, it's economically developed. It's a little port city. But it's not by any means, like if you go to Shanghai, if you go to Shenzhen, if you go to Beijing, there's a lot of infrastructure that makes it makes them very friendly places for visiting tourists and things. But there was no infrastructure for tourists in Zhoushan, so it was very much it was like me, and I was the only American that I knew there. There was one Canadian guy, but I never really saw him. So that was my immersion experience. Like I was on like a recreational soccer team. It's like me and just like you would play adult league soccer here.
So and you were probably the only American there on that island, or was there?
Yeah,
Were there others?
As far as I know, there probably were working in the ports or whatever.
What was the living situation like there? Like, how are the houses? Where were you living? You were on an island.
It was miserable.
You were on an island off of China.
Yeah, so the living situation, I had an apartment that was provided by the school that I was working for, which is, here's a life lesson. Never live on a property that is managed by your employer. Because I would get visits from my manager, basically, this guy Mr. Dai, and he would come to my apartment sometimes. One day, he'd knock on the door and be like, "This place is too messy. Clean it up." I'm like, fuck off.
Oh,
man.
really? Oh, wow,
yeah.
Man. Wow. So what was the...
It was cold. And that's another thing. That's what I remember. I was
on the island
miserably cold.
How about the food?
Because Chinese food is delicious. Chinese food is amazing. This is the best seafood I will ever have in my life while I was living there. Just like always eating delicious Chinese food. And Americans don't really understand the depth of Chinese cuisine or the breadth of Chinese cuisine. When we get like Chinese food in the United States, it's been tweaked in a profound way to make it more palatable to the American taste. But there's so much good Chinese food I can't even begin to like go down that path. But should you ever have an opportunity to go to China, I would say like more than the Great Wall. The Great Wall is boring. It's just a wall. But Chinese food, Chinese cuisine is so rich, so diverse that you could just spend like do an Anthony Bourdain kind of thing and just spend the whole time just trying food and not run out of it.
Yeah.
So Chinese food, great. Great Wall, meh.
Yeah. That's one of those things about travel where, you know, I guess it's the preference of the person, but like when I went to Peru, I just feel like it's so much better to just kind of immerse yourself into the culture, find a place where you can safely immerse yourself into the culture for a while. That makes traveling worth it to me. A lot of the people that went to that ayahuasca retreat with me there, they spent the extra time that they had there going to Machu Picchu and like these places where there's a million other American tourists, you know? And, for me, I'm like, I don't know, man. I'd go stand in line to see a fucking Machu Picchu when I could be in the heart of Lima listening to kids freaking have hip hop battles in the park while I eat local food, you know? It's a much better experience. Or my buddy just went to, it's funniest thing, my buddy went to Hawaii and he's from Cuba and he knows that I lived there for some time. And so he went, but you can go to Hawaii and you can experience Hawaii, or you can go to Hawaii as a tourist. And, you know, he totally went with the whole tourist route. He even dressed like a tourist, you know, he got like a little fedora and a fucking button up Hawaiian shirt, you know, and they're going on tour buses with somebody doing a fucking announcement of what they're seeing and this type of thing. And, you know, scuba diving in the man-made beach that's outside of the hotel, stuff like that, you know. I'm like, damn it, you're not able to experience what I want you to, because I've told him all about it, you know. I'm like, you're going to think I'm full of shit if this is how you're experiencing Hawaii right now. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents on travel, man. Try to immerse yourself outside of what all the tourists are doing and see what the culture is really about. So I'm sure that's what you did in China.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was there for 3 years, so I did a lot of the tourist stuff too. And for example, going to see the Forbidden City is an absolute necessity. You have to go see the Forbidden City. It's incredible. It's like nothing else you'll see.
What's the Forbidden City?
The Forbidden City is where the emperors of China would live within Beijing. So if you're in Beijing, there's like this city within Beijing, and it's absolutely gorgeous, red and gold. And I just look at pictures. I won't be able to describe it in any meaningful way. But it's the imperial city where the emperors would live and all their confidants within broader Beijing.
Ah, yes.
And it's expansive. It's absolutely humongous.
That's pretty interesting. I'm going to have to research that.
The Great Wall would be very cool as well if you could somehow experience the entire thing. But that's just impossible. So when you see it, when I say it's just a wall, it's wherever you go to see it, you can only see so much at a time. It becomes interesting only when you consider how it was built and the expanse of it, but you can't experience the expanse.
Not by yourself. Yeah. Isn't it the only man-made structure that you can see from space?
I think I've heard that, but I don't think it's true.
It is.
It wouldn't really.
I've seen the picture of it. If you look at like from the satellite picture, you can see the fucking Great Wall, bro.
So this has never made sense to me at all, because it's not big. Like, it's not a big thing. It would strike me as it would be easier to see a stadium, for instance, than it would be to see the wall. Like, it's a wall. It's like narrow, you know? I don't see how it would be possible to be able to see that from space. I don't think it's true. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to look that up or research that.
Yeah.
Check it out.
You have a space expert that we can just call, right?
We'll have to have one. I'll find one. Yeah. A Great Wall expert, probably.
Resident space expert.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get some experts on here. Right now, I have an expert in hair growth on here. Your hair is looking quite fucking lovely there, bro. Been letting it grow for a while.
It's looking kind of reddish in the light, huh? I sort of like it.
Yeah, it's got a little red tint to it. It looks like it's well conditioned. Shampoo.
Eat your heart out, ladies.
Yeah, man. That's gonna look good riding on your bike, bro, with your hair just blowing in the wind. Oh no, you have to wear a helmet in California. It'll be blowing out.
I'm going hard for the Sons of Anarchy cosplay, man. That's my whole. That's my whole thing.
Jax Teller. Yeah,
Jax Teller, that's right.
Yeah, right on. But no beard. You're not gonna keep the beard for now and keep it short.
I mean, I live with the perpetual stubble.
Yeah,
this is my. Yeah.
What can you you speak Chinese, man? That's pretty fucking interesting too. That blew my mind when you ordered some.
Yeah.
You ordered some fucking buns. We went to order. I knew he spoke, but I didn't know. You know, we went to order some buns. What are they called?
Baozi.
Yeah, some baozi. And we go and there's these two Chinese ladies serving baozi. And he just starts fucking having a conversation with her in Chinese, you know. And then she looks at me and starts speaking Chinese too, you know. So, because she thought I was cool like fucking Steve, but I wasn't. But say a fucking sentence, bro. Let's hear this is very interesting to me. Say something to me.
好的，我可以讲中文。什么样的句子？
Fuck, what did you just say?
I said, okay, I can speak Chinese. What kind of sentence?
Okay. Let's see. Say...
My Chinese is so rusty, but I will try my best.
Fuck, it's better than what I can do, bro. Or probably anybody listening, except for the Chinese listeners.
You do have a lot of Chinese listeners.
Not yet. We haven't gotten into the China market yet.
Jackson is big in China.
But we might be after this. You may be a Chinese fucking legend after this, bro. You never know.
I think I had that opportunity back then. Or maybe not a legend, but what I mean to say is, like, there was a part of my life where I thought that was going to be my jam. Like, I thought I was going to be a lifer for a while.
Oh.
And then I came back to the United States and things changed. I became a dance teacher, you know?
Yes. Yep. Fuck. Say something. Say something else. Well, say one other thing, man. I really. It's so interesting to me to hear you speak Chinese. I don't know what to say. What to tell you to say. Something about your art or whatever. I don't fucking know.
我在中国的时候没有任何的艺术智慧. I think that's when I lived in China, I didn't have any kind of art knowledge.
Fuck, that's really good, man. That's fucking awesome. You should do something with that. You should just go on. You should just go on and do like a story each day saying a sentence in fucking Chinese random, and just put it up.
So, one thing that's interesting to me, but I haven't figured out how to do it, is to sort of tie that part of my life back into my current life. But it's not obvious how it's done. So for a while I was taking Go lessons from a Chinese teacher. So I would go, I think we may have talked about this on the last time we did a podcast, but I would go to these, during the pandemic there, I would take these every Wednesday afternoon, I would log onto my iPad and I would log into a Chinese app and I would take a Go lesson. This is a board game, Chinese board game, Go. Played with black and white stones. But I would log onto this app and I would take a Go class with a bunch of Chinese elementary school students that was instructed in Chinese. So that was how I was tying China into my life for a while. And it was okay. I mean, it was really fun, actually, but it, kind of a lot of effort. And more recently, I reached out to a Chinese nonprofit in the area, and I thought about volunteering there, but I had a conversation with the guy, and I was like, it's just not the right vibe. So if your listeners have any good ideas of how Steve can work his history in China back into his life, you can have them reach out to me on Instagram. My Instagram is Steve Plays Go.
At Steve Plays Go. Soon to be Mcevoy. Mcevoy Plays
Go. So send me a message. Yes, soon to be Mcevoy Plays Go. Send me a message and say what I should do with China.
How you can work that into your branding. I think it's super interesting, and something that's super interesting should be shared, somehow or another. I don't know how, but just the fact that you fucking speak Chinese, bro, that's like, I don't know, man. That's a very strong part of the brand of Mcevoy, bro. Chinese speaking, purple belt artist who dances salsa and drives a motorcycle and does Sons of Anarchy cosplay.
I really need to change my name to Mcevoy, don't I?
Yeah, bro. All those things equal Mcevoy.
Yeah, I can't just be a Steve.
No, like that exactly, right? Like, yeah. Once you step into your true self, it has a name.
I just imagine myself, having a conversation with someone at a bar, and I'm like, hey, I'm Mcevoy, and they're like, what? And I'm like, Mcevoy. How exotic.
That's an interesting name, bro.
As when I take off my motorcycle helmet.
Yeah, Mcevoy.
I gotta talk about this with my people. If I didn't have sort of a community leadership position, it would be fairly intuitive. If I were just sort of lying low right now, but a lot of people know me as Steve, and getting them all to, call me Mac now is kind of like, I guess if you knew me as Steve, you can still call me Steve, but all new people are going to refer me as Mcevoy.
Mcevoy. Yeah, just introduce yourself as Mcevoy.
And we should probably clarify why this is my middle name is Mcevoy, so Jackson was suggesting that I should just go by that, given it's a better match for my character.
Persona, yeah. So maybe just a slow move into it. Slow move into Mcevoy. Becoming Mcevoy. That can be your documentary.
Becoming Mcevoy.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that, Becoming Mcevoy.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. So what were you going to tell me? There was something you were going to tell me. We didn't get around to it. There was something you were going to share with me.
So, sure. So this is, a pretty large potential life change. And nothing is set in stone yet, but this is how things are looking. So, I mean, a few years ago, I started working with a coach for men in the area. My dude D, Dennis at Man Up Life Coaching. Dennis, you're the man. And probably 4 months into working together, we sort of negotiated a deal to work together in which I would help him with his business in exchange for coaching. So I kind of became a management consultant of sorts, and also started training as a coach with him to potentially join his organization. Although I stopped that part for a while, it just wasn't interesting to me at the time. So I was just doing the sort of business strategy consulting for him. And I watched his business just take off over the last couple of years, and he's doing super well. He's doing so well, in fact, that he's like has more clients than he can handle. He had another coach join him, a dude Faisal, who's also just a fucking legend. Faisal started working with him a couple years ago, and so I reached out to Dennis a couple days ago, and we're gonna reopen the conversation about me joining him as a coach. So that represents a pretty profound change in my life. I mean, I've been recruiting professionally for about a decade, and I'd been kind of exploring a few different paths out of it. But every single time I would do it, I would hit some sort of obstacle or another. And I've had this opportunity to join Dennis for a while now, but the timing is feeling right now. So, that's pretty wild, huh?
That's fucking awesome, man. That would be great, man. That would be great for you. That would be, if you could eventually move into doing that, would that be the plan, to eventually see how it goes and then do that as your full-time gig type of deal?
So the rate that his business is growing, I would expect that a full transition could be made by the end of the first quarter of 2023. So we're talking like April of next year.
Wow.
Which that's right around the corner. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, that's awesome, man. I say go for it. That's great. And then we can have I can have Coach Mcevoy on the show, share your perspectives. Would your clients call you Mcevoy?
Call me Mac?
Yeah. Hey, Mac. I guess that would be the.
I guess I gotta.
You gotta ponder this.
I'm really torn about this whole Mcevoy thing, man. I really think there's something there, like no bullshit. Changing your name is a huge deal, but like objectively, you can look at my sort of life situation, and you're gonna be like, is it a Steve or is it a Mcevoy? You tell somebody about me, and you're like, what would you guess this person's name is?
Yeah.
Would you guess that they're Steve, or would you guess that they're Mcevoy?
Yeah, it'll be Mcevoy. If I'm being completely honest, if I was introduced or somebody was, because coaching is word of mouth usually, so if somebody was like, I got this buddy, man, you got to talk to him, he can help you out. He does jiu-jitsu. He's a salsa coach. He's an artist. He lives there in Ocean Beach. Awesome dude, man. Really interesting fellow. Okay.
What's his name?
Steve.
Steve.
Oh, Steve. Okay.
I wouldn't say a million Steves
but
out there.
I wouldn't be. It wouldn't fucking generate some type of, just this interest. But if they told me that and they're like, yeah, I'll connect you with him. His name's Mcevoy. Like, what? Yeah, his name's Mcevoy. Here's his contact info. For some reason, that sounds like something from a fucking book where they connect you with some awesome coach. Like a Robin Sharma book or something. I
don't know. It seems so obvious from sort of a marketing perspective that it's an attention grabber in the way that Steve is like. Something that's bothered me about the name Steve is like it's arguably the go-to sort of basic white guy name that people use in like television commercials.
Yeah.
Or like, the band Flight of the Conchords?
I don't.
Flight of the Conchords, they're like a comedy group from New Zealand, two guys that play the guitar, but they have a very famous song called the Hip Hopopotamus. Brilliant song. But when one of the parts they go, did Steve tell you that? Steve. Go listen to Hip Hopopotamus. It's brilliant.
Okay.
But Steve is a name that's just been run over by the culture. I like the name Steve.
It's not a bad name. By any
not
means.
A bad name.
By any means, it's not a bad name.
It's just not McAvoy.
It's not McAvoy, And we go through
It's not even close to McAvoy.
Yeah, it's not. No, it's not even in the fucking vicinity of fucking McAvoy as far as from a marketing standpoint. Yeah, no, it's not even fucking close. I feel like, especially, as men move toward middle age in our society, you slowly, if you're on that path, you break down all of your past conditioning and you slowly turn into, as you break down that conditioning, you step into your true self, and sometimes stepping into when you're...
If you're lucky, bro.
Yeah. Well, it's not, it takes work too, I mean, if you're lucky, but if you're, I would say you're on that path, that's a path that you're on,
What I mean by lucky is not that it doesn't require work. The luck comes from even recognizing that there's work to be done.
Yeah, the self-awareness. Yeah. So if you're on that path and your past conditioning is being shed as you step into as you step out of this person that society has expected you to be and that you've learned to be through the pressures of society, and you step into the true connection and self, the centeredness that you have with yourself. One of those things that may shed is the title that you've had, the title that you've had, and you step in, this is my true self stepping into this, and this is my name of my true self. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how you end up with fucking Ziggy Stardust.
Exactly.
That's how.
Yeah, exactly. Or Madonna.
Who do you want to have on your show? Do you want to have David or do you want to have Ziggy Stardust?
Yeah, 100% Ziggy Stardust. It's more interesting. Right? Yeah, man. That's a good topic to ponder, McAvoy. McAvoy. And I say it's just a mono.
So,
what was the word? A single name?
Mononym.
Mononym. Yeah, just McAvoy.
So by the time your listeners listen to this episode, my Instagram handle may not be Steve Plays Go anymore. It might just be McAvoy something.
Yeah.
We'll figure out McAvoy. I don't know.
You do so many things. I wouldn't. That's the thing with the Go. I'm like, fuck. You have such your personal brand is so diverse that it's hard to pick the one thing that you do. Because
Well, bro, I don't even play Go anymore.
Well, there you go.
I mean, I'll play it from time to time, but
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
You don't want to put a label. All these labels don't mean anything anywhere. It's impossible to pick a good label, so may as well have some fucking fun.
Have fun with
right?
it. I like Becoming McAvoy. That's either going to be your documentary or because that's like a play on words. Because if you're a coach, and Becoming McAvoy represents that journey of becoming your true self. You know what I mean?
The caterpillar to the butterfly transformation.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that would give the sort of impression that I'm a butterfly here.
No, but, becoming. Like you're becoming McAvoy. You are also in the process.
So it's not done. I am also in the process of metamorphosis.
Exactly. Yeah. As you're becoming McAvoy, many others can relate to it because they're also becoming McAvoy in their own fucking... It's kind of like Tyler Durden.
Everybody's got a bit of McAvoy inside of that.
That's your tagline? Oh, man. That's hilarious. Fuck. All right, well, McAvoy, we've been on here for a while, man, so I'll let you get back to your day. It's a nice hour and a half. That was a good conversation. I'm sure we'll have many more of these. So hopefully we can get some of these interesting characters on here. That would actually be pretty cool. So we'll talk about that. And also one other thing, just in case you're in San Diego and you want to go try some salsa dancing, Mcevoy teaches a salsa dancing class. Where is that, and what's the drop-in price or whatever if somebody wants to go check it out?
So the easiest way would be just look us up on Instagram. Timba SD. Timba is a genre of Cuban music. So Timba, Timba SD on Instagram at Timba SD. Currently, we give classes on Sunday evenings, but that's subject to change. We're having our first party. Oh, bro, yeah, we're having our first party. But I think I'm assuming this won't be published for a while. So, listeners, sorry you missed it. Should have been there.
Well, follow on Instagram.
It was awesome.
You can go to the next.
It was awesome. You should have been there.
There you go. But yeah, follow on Instagram. Follow Timba SD, and if you want to go drop in, tell Steve you heard him on the podcast. And I'm sorry, tell Mcevoy. I gotta fix that.
Oh yeah, you get a discount for listeners of my homie's podcast here. So your first class will be free.
There you go.
And our classes are quite reasonably priced, so even if they weren't free, you could afford it.
Yeah.
Unless you're really fucking broke, and if you're really fucking broke, then you can just, you could probably come to class for free. I'll look the other way. It's all good.
Yeah.
Dance should be available to everyone.
Yes, I agree.
Dance should be available to everyone. That's Mcevoy's political platform.
There you go. I like it. All right, Mcevoy. Well, you can follow Mcevoy currently at Steve Plays Go, but we'll see what that becomes later. And if you have any questions, go ahead. What were you?
No, I'm laughing, man, because I just have such a good time talking.
Yeah, man. If you have any questions, if you're on Spotify, you can there's a link where you can go and leave a 1-minute question or statement or idea or whatever you want to say, and I could play it on another show and elaborate on it or answer the question. So you can go on there. You can follow on Spotify and iTunes, and then there will also be clips and highlights on YouTube, on a YouTube channel, which that's Jax Engage. And then, follow wherever you want. Leave a rating and review. Follow me on Instagram at The Increased Life. I would appreciate it. Hit me up if you have any questions. And we will do this again. I appreciate you coming on here, Mcevoy. Hang around for a minute when I push stop. Okay?
All
right. Take care. Thanks for listening. Peace and blessings. And until we meet again.